Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. This is the big match preview. My name is Louis Mendes. Hope you guys are all well on your Thursday evening. Tonight we will be looking back at the 3-2 defeat over at Bristol Rovers, and of course ahead to Saturday's home game with Birmingham. Plenty to talk about. Joining me to discuss those items, top right, Nathan Muller. How you doing, Nath?
Not bad, mate. Not bad. Living the dream. Over Tuesday already. One day, 24 hours, a miracle. Yeah, amazing what a bit of fresh air can do, can't it?
Very short memory you have, Nathan. I've always said
that. do call me the goldfish, didn't you? But yeah, all good, mate.
Yeah, lovely, jubbly. And bottom of the screen there. So I was going to make a joke about Nathan having a tiddler. Bottom of the screen there is Lewis Cat. How you doing, Lou?
I'm not too bad, mate. Thank you. Not too bad. Don't know if I'm as upbeat as Nath, but who is? Nath keeps us all happy. We've all got to follow his example, I think. Otherwise, we're doomed.
Exactly. You got to live the dream, haven't you? I don't know how he does it. So, as I said, we'll look back at the game against Bristol Rovers. There is a lot that's come out of that game that needs discussing. We're going to hear from Nathan Jones, the Addicts boss, later on. I didn't go Tuesday, which is rare for me, but so I haven't got a post-match interview. But we have got what I think is even more pertinent today, which is his interview from today, where he's Richard Corley, Big Dog Rich, asked him about a few sort of selection issues that have been burning questions for a little while. So we'll hear that, and then of course we will look ahead to the game with Birmingham. Delighted to say we're going to be joined by Brian Dick, who's the co-host of the Keep Right On pod, and we'll hear from Nathan Jones ahead of that game as well, which is feels like exactly the sort of game we don't need right now, to be fair. Good evening to everyone who's joining us in the chat as well. Will was first in there saying looking forward to the show. There's a lot to unpack, and there certainly is. Evening to Andrew, to all hell let loose, to Colin, who's joining us from Oregon, says he feels that something isn't quite right behind the scenes at the moment. Dudley's in there as well, saying he's starting to feel desperate again. More therapy needed. Paul's in there. Chris, Stuart, David, live life to the full. Loads of you in there. Give us your thoughts on where it went wrong on Tuesday. And what do you want to see happen on Saturday as well. Just to remind you where it went wrong on Tuesday, let's have a quick listen back to the goals from Charlton TV.
Ball inside to Sinclair. His left foot. Scott Sinclair with the effort. And it's a wonderful finish beyond Mannion. Diving to his right. Couldn't get there. And a brilliant finish. Gives Bristol Rovers the lead.
Yeah, and we've seen this before, haven't we, where you'll be able to name the guy that scored for Rotherham better than I can, the midfielder, Greg. But he comes forward with the ball, we get out to the ball, Kelly, we get out to the ball, and we don't do enough once we get close, and this is very similar. Two players in front of Sinclair, he cuts in on that left, takes another touch, looks up, picks his spot, and you've got to die to block that, in my opinion. If you make the effort to get close enough, why can't we throw ourselves into a challenge or into a block?
Likewise, Omachari makes a good run off of Mitchell. Receives the ball on the left-hand side. Finds Lindsay in space. Right-footed effort and finds the corner. It's another brilliant finish, but again the question marks. Could Charlton got out quicker? Omachari finding Lindsay, acres of space on the edge of the penalty area. It's a brilliant finish. Bristol Rovers 2, Charlton 0.
Yeah. And you can't say the performance has kind of been good enough for this not to be the case. You know, it's a wonderful finish. I think he's picked his spot magnificently well, Lindsay, but how much time and space did he have on the edge of the box to be able to pick his spot? It's all too
back
easy.
To Mola, first time cross is a decent one. Might find Wilson, and it does. And Charlton have switched off defensively again. Mola's cross took a slight deflection en route from Omachari, and there was Wilson at the far post.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone from super resilient in the early stages of this season. Very difficult to break down, not giving up too many opportunities to oppositions, which allowed us to stay in the games when the games weren't pretty, and then allowed us to go on and take 3 points with wins against Wigan, Leyton Orient, etc. And then tonight we're seeing almost the exact opposite. There's a weakness to our defending. There's a fragility to our defending. There's a lack of confidence in how we're going about our defending.
Pitch. It's a good flick on. Godden will reach it at the end, and it's in. The Addicts have got a goal back. Whether that ball was going beyond the line from the Godden header, not entirely sure. But Mitchell provided the finishing touch regardless. Dockadoo sends it forward, asking Anika to pursue it on that right-hand side. He gets there as well. Taylor for company. Ball into the box. Godden's there, and he finishes. Matty Godden gets Charlton's second. And with 3 minutes of normal time remaining, the Addicts are just a goal behind.
Yeah, it's just an incredible shame that we didn't understand the importance of this game for the first 45 minutes. This is, I think this Bristol side, we've let off the hook today, if I'm honest with you. You know, the form they're in, the pressure they're under, and we came along and at best tickled their bellies in the first 45 minutes. And it's a shame, because I think it was a team that was there to be beaten. That was as limp as a performance as you could have wished for as a travelling supporter today, as a summariser, as a commentator, as a manager.
There we go. Brownie summing it up there right at the end. A really disappointing display over at Bristol Rovers on a Tuesday evening. I mean, we made a bit of a go of coming back into it, but the damage was all well and already done by that point, Nath. The last few weeks have been a real disappointment for me. I put it on Tuesday that, you know, start of the season, I thought the defensive structure was something we could really build on and take it forward and then grow into the attacking stuff. But it's just there's been chopping and changing and all that over the last few weeks that makes me think, do we know how to take that next step forward? And clearly we don't, because it's got worse.
Yeah, as you say, I mean, obviously at the beginning of the season we were playing okay. We wasn't being amazing, but we weren't dominating teams, but we were falling the right side of a result, to put it lightly. You know, we wasn't really battering anyone, but, you know, Lady Luck's going to run out at some point. And coupled when your sort of levels drop, is team selection part of, you know, consistency part of that, possibly. I think that one where we brought Reg in was obviously went wrong. Bit surprised with the next one. There was a lot more changes since, and I can only imagine there's going to be some on Saturday if he's going to try and change it up again. But I think he had to come in and focus on the defensive side of the game from last season, 100%. That I don't think anyone could begrudge him that. And then the next step was, right, okay, so now you've done that bit, is can you get them working in tandem? But then we've seemed to have gone the other way and lost that defensive sort of solidity that we had before. And yeah, Tuesday we scored 2 goals, but we only started playing when we went 3-0 down, when the shackles were off, really, and you just had to go gung-ho, throw the sink at them. And let's be frank, they're not great. They're not a great team. They didn't open us up. 2 decent strikes, but you can't have so many worldies in the season and then not question it. You know, there's going to come a point where it's like, well, why are people getting the chance to have these worldies? And like I said, they didn't open us up. They had an XG of 0.6 or something, which says it all. Ours weren't materially better, but so yeah, it's just that thing that we've said on the last couple of weeks, mate, and how Nathan gets that balance and tries to get that fluidity in the final third. I just don't think enough people are expressing themselves. You know, it seems there's a structure behind it, and that makes sense. But I think sometimes you need a structure to build upon. But I think some people are too structured. But listening to Matty Godden after the game, he said that's, you know, not how Nathan wanted to play on Tuesday. So I don't know. Maybe there's a bit of element from the players as well, and it's not just all on the manager.
I mean, yeah, we could try and put our finger on why this has happened, Lou. I mean, you can look at the specifics of Tuesday. You know, I mean, the goals we conceded were not really closed down properly, really. Edge of the box, I think Berry got out to the first one, but didn't really make much of a block. Gillespie got beaten too easily with I think Sinclair it was who stepped past him. The second one, I think Anderson was getting out there, but didn't make the block. He wasn't close enough. The third one, I mean, it was flick on and all that. Like, none of the goals look good. And once we've lost that defensive solidity, then we're all over the place. I mean, in the game, anonymous midfield, we've said that before. Long balls to Gas. He didn't look like he was going to win a flick on all day, it felt like, on Tuesday night. TC, I don't know, the bits I saw, he couldn't really get into the game. Like, I'm really concerned that we've gone backwards. Nathan's come out and apologised for it after, but it's the second time in 3 games he's had to do that. I mean, why have the wheels come off so spectacularly? Why did we not go in that right direction from that good start and then just build upon? Is it because we don't know how to play with the side we've got? We don't know the best team. He's made a lot of changes over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is it feels like he doesn't know his best 11 and he's still experimenting. I think at the start of the season, we, as Nathan said, it wasn't like polishing a turd as such, but like we were performing and we were grinding games out because defensively we looked a lot more organised, a lot more resilient. You had, Lloyd Jones, Mitchell coming in and shoring up the back, Gillespie looking really good, and then the strength. We spoke so much in the first few shows about Ramsey and Edwards being, really good options in those wing back positions, and it felt like we had a real good, a real good back line there. A lot of understanding seemed to be that was where we were going to, gain most of our points. We didn't look like we were going to outscore teams massively, but we looked a lot more solid. Therefore, we always felt we had at least something to get ourselves ahead in a game and hold on to it. I never really felt like we'd concede in those first few games. I felt quite comfortable watching our back line. The last few weeks, I feel like, I don't know if we're just inviting the pressure on because we're not creating enough moving forward and the ball's spending so much time in our half and we just don't have that attacking outlet that it's just becoming a little bit desperate. Like the hit and hope ball to Gasser Habme for 50 minutes that has failed for the last however many weeks, bar the game that he missed for an injury. You then, as you said earlier, we only really come alive at like when we're 3-0 down and the shackles are off. Like it feels like that's been our game plan for the last few weeks. Like I didn't feel that in the first few games. I felt like we had enough to get ourselves ahead and manage the game better. But in the last couple of weeks, probably maybe even from Rotherham onwards, it's felt like we've had nothing. We've tried to stay in a game up to like 55, 60 minutes and you throw the Chucks and EK dice and hope that something works for you. Then all of a sudden we tend to be a little bit more threatening going forward because we know what Chucks can bring. Same with Matty Godden coming on. We know what he can bring. It feels like at the moment where we're blunt in our team, I don't feel we're starting our best options there. And I don't know why that is. I don't know if Nathan sees Gas as an aerial threat, therefore he's going to win more balls than he loses. I'm yet to see that. And the TC experiment for me is gone really flat. I thought at the start it looked good. He looked like he bulked out a bit. He was getting in good positions. But I think Stevenage Saturday, I thought he was really poor. And I thought the same on Tuesday night, to be honest. And that's your attacking outlet there. We're not getting much in midfield at the moment. We're getting a lot of the ball at the back. We're hitting everything forward. You're relying on those two to try and get the ball down and create something, and neither of them are. So, yeah, for me, I feel like the team selection's a big issue. I feel like we don't know what our best system is. I'm not overly convinced that the 3-5-2 or 5-3-2, whatever you want to call it, we're playing is our best avenue for the players that we have. But, it just seems, as you said, that midfield is so absent, and that is where we've spent a lot of our strengthening in the summer window was in that midfield area. So it's really alarming that that's the area that we're all the most concerned about at the moment.
Chris has come out and said, he says, has he lost the dressing room? Was the rant after Reading too much? Imagine your boss at work was as mad as Jones. You'd struggle to engage. Well, in terms of reacting to games, I felt Nathan hasn't seemed like what I'd expect over the last couple of weeks, and the apologies, and I don't know, he looked a bit shell shocked after some of these defeats, to the extent like it feels like it's unravelled a little bit, like what he had planned. That good start, it just feels like it's unravelled, and like I say, it's just been throwing mud at the walls now to see what sticks in terms of trying to get an 11. That's what concerns me the most, is that we had something that was just about working but needed to improve, and then we've tried to change it. And it clearly hasn't worked, and I think Nathan's seen that. I said at the time was the Reading reaction a bit much, because I didn't even think we played as badly in that game. But the fact he's reacting differently now as well just makes me think he is genuinely looking more internally as to the team he's put together, and if he can find a way to make it work. Because it was painful watching us try to attack on Tuesday in that opening hour or so. I mean, like the long balls to Gas just weren't working, and no one else, it feels like, gets involved. Like I'm looking at some of the people on this team sheet. Like again, we've probably talked about Berry a bit. I just don't see him getting involved in games enough, and that's what's really concerning. That we're now we played 7-8 now, and we still don't know, Nath, what we're all about.
Yeah, and we said this since day one. I think you could have all the best players in the world playing in their midfield three, but if that ball just bypasses them every time, and they're not getting on the ball, they're not going to be able to play to their strengths. So at the moment, we go long ball, pick up the seconds and thirds. It's like, well, that's not really you can do that now and again if you want to turn a defence over, if you want to turn them around. I get it, but like we're literally doing it all the time, and it's quite predictable, and everything's in front of them. And I just think when you're playing, I think, like as you said, like the game against Wigan and stuff like that, where we were quite structured, quite resolute, and we try and nick a goal. I think that's great if you're playing a good team. So, for example, a Birmingham away, for example, will be a prime example where I would expect us probably to set up like that. Going against the likes of, no disrespect, because they deserve to win on Tuesday, Bristol, but they lost 4-5 or 5-6 or whatever. They weren't an amazing team. They're the sort of games where you try and have a bit of impetus and you get your influential players on the ball in the middle of the park and try and run a game. I've not seen us control a game once. Probably Cambridge, but come on. You know what I mean? They're not pulling up trees, Cambridge. So I don't think that's a good barometer, and there were loads of changes. So the more, if we're going trying to do that direct ball, fine. But then if it's not working, it looks like, to me, when I watch the game, it looks like a lot of the players are on that pitch looking around and go, right, we need to try something else now. Who's going to grab that game, take control of it, take it by the scruff of the neck and try and build some momentum? And it doesn't. It just feels like we'll just keep doing it because hopefully one of these passes is going to come off and then we'll go 1-0 up. And then we probably won't concede because we're good at sort of defending leads this season, what we've seen. But I think that, as you say, I think that's maybe a little bit internal that Nathan's got to look at and go, right, do I change it? It's all right for us to go, we'll go do a diamond, we'll do a 4-4-2, we'll do this. I get that. He sees it weak and he must have an idea of this plan. And if that plan's not working, he's the one who's paid the big bucks to change it. And the question is he going to change it? Or is it personnel? Is it formation or whatever? But that's what Nathan's paid to do. And it's going to be interesting how he arrests that, because if you go four without defeat, and then you look at our October, then it could get quite nasty. So he's going to have to do something, because does he still go, right, 3 on the bounce now? We still have to keep that structure because we don't want to go gung ho. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg situation for him, but it's going to be interesting to see what he does on the weekend.
Yeah, sometimes like a game against someone like Birmingham, we're going to walk this division. We all know that. Like, sometimes you think, right, that's a chance for us to raise our game and that, but it just feels like completely the wrong time for me for Saturday, because we could even play well on Saturday and lose, and we need to arrest this losing slump. But I don't think we've got it in us at the moment to be a potent attacking threat consistently, let alone against a side like Birmingham, who are going to come and look very good against us. That's just how it's going to be. So it's just come at an awful time. But I mean, Rostov's saying Jones is making too many changes all the time. Since Blackpool, he changes the team every game. It doesn't work. Something's gone wrong behind the scenes again. Thierry Small nowhere to be seen. Well, we'll hear what Nathan has to say on Thierry Small shortly. And Chris says Gordon has to start Saturday. He looked very impressive after coming on. But I mean, I think Nathan, you said that in the chat the other day. But he has started games so far this season, and he's not really looked that involved. And that's not necessarily his fault, because we've seen when we've got him there at the end of games and we've been feeding him chances, he's been scoring goals. But it's the structure of the side to create chances when we're attacking that just isn't working at the moment. So even with Matty Godden starting, I don't think that's going to be the thing that's going to switch all of a sudden. I don't think that's what's going to make us a good side, starting with Matty Godden. It has to be the ball being played through the midfield, Lewis, and those chance creations that we can't afford to wait until Chucks comes on to start looking at a dangerous attacking side, or until a side sitting at home on a 3-0 lead when they've conceded goals for fun. We can't wait to start looking dangerous going forward that long.
No, we can't, and that's one of the main frustrations. I mean, I've had that for ages, ever since, Chucks. We know what his limitations are and stuff, but it almost becomes like our desperate throw of the dice is bring him on and see what he can do when we're struggling in games, and then you put that pressure on him to get you back into games, and then he injures himself again, and it's like that vicious cycle, and you can't be relying, putting all your faith on who's going to create the chances, who's going to get you the goals, who's going to get you back into games. You can't put all of that on someone that can probably just about play half an hour a week. Like, you're not going to be able to do that, and that's not like promotion winning depth either. And you're right, like the midfield for me, they're all players that have got very, fairly good pedigree. Luke Berry's played at a very good level. He's played through all the divisions with Luton, with Nathan as well. Coventry brings what he brings. He's a bit more defensive, and Doherty as well. Like those three, I was pretty convinced they would be like our midfield three, and something would stem. But we still keep going over them all the time. Like every time it seems to be that, Mannion gets the ball, he rolls it out to the defender plays it over to Gillespie hoofs it, looking for Gassa Hadme. Gas doesn't win it, and then we reset. And it's so frustrating when you've got your key players, if you like, talking about this elite 8, 8 and 8 system, whatever it is, the ones that they think are in that elite 8 are the ones sat in the middle of the park, and you're bypassing them every week. I don't understand it. Like, we need to try and get the ball on the floor, play a little bit more. We just panic, and it screams desperation, trying to, create something. It feels like we exhaust every avenue to try and create a chance, and all we've got in our locker is to hoof it to Gassa Hadme because he's tall. But I've not seen that bloke win a header yet at all. Maybe just about the one that basically went off his chin when we played Shrewsbury. Apart from that, I've not seen anything from him, and that is a massive concern. And like I say, I don't think Nathan knows his best 11. I don't think we know who our starting front two is. The fact that we keep opting for someone who isn't a natural striker screams that as well. Maybe having Miles back in the fold will ease some of that woes, but I don't know. It just feels at the moment that we're devoid of all ideas. But we're really struggling, and it's gone really negative like very quickly. And I don't want to sound too downbeat 7 games into a season, 8 games into a season, but it's just very deflating when we started as well as we did. You get that little bit of hope. Think, can we do something this year? Are we going to be in and around it? And it only takes a couple of poor performances and results for that to spin. And I do think the way this club's gone over recent years, I think our patience is a lot thinner than a lot of other football fans. And once you start going on a bit of a slide, we've not got a great record of arresting those slides. So hopefully, we come up with something that's going to try and put a halt to this. But it couldn't come at a worse time playing Birmingham on Saturday, really, could it?
Yeah, I didn't realise we've already played 9 games. Doesn't time fly when you're having fun? Like, it's just genuinely. So that means the grass got to come out on Saturday. Blimey, I say we get 3. If we get 3 points, it'll look quite nice. LW saying, in my opinion, we progress the ball better through the thirds. If we put another midfielder next to Coventry, I'd go for Terry Taylor and get the ball forward. Get another ball playing defender next to Lloyd Jones, ideally Josh Edwards. Well, that's one idea. I wonder if there will be temptations to change it. Chris is saying that Lewis is making me want to call the Samaritans. Stick with us, Chris. This is group therapy. Don't worry. Shiny Phil saying, where do our attacking players disappear to? Suddenly, no one is there to receive passes, and we just all stall near the halfway line and give the ball away. It's quite baffling to him. I've still got loads of comments and emails and stuff from Tuesday, which we'll come to. Just to bring other stuff into the discussion. Let's hear from Nathan Jones now on some of the players who haven't been playing recently. So there's been some pretty burning questions, and today was a good day for Big Dog Richard Corley to sit down and ask those questions. The audio is not great when Richard's asking the questions because, again, as All Hell Let Loose points out earlier in the chat, he does it sort of remotely rather than there. So I've tried to boost it a bit so you can hear him. But we're talking about the likes of Thierry Small, Greg Doherty, and of course Terry Taylor in this clip here.
I want to ask you about the sort of team selection. With Doherty not started the last 2, Thierry Small not been in the squad for the last 2. Just wanted to ask you a bit about those 2 players.
Well, we ask certain things from a midfield player or a wing back that are essential to how we play. And I felt that we needed something different for those games. Now, I don't want to get into an argument about team selection and so on. People see different things. I see them train every day. I watch games. I watch it live like fans. I watch it back. I analyse it. I clip it. I watch training. I clip it. I look at it again, and I see certain things. So if the best version of Thierry Small turns up every day and is there in the match day, then he's very difficult to leave out of the team. I don't leave people out of the team that I feel are in wonderful form. So I just have to make those decisions. And plus we've got a very strong squad, and so Josh is coming back. There was no problem with Josh starting the season. He was in wonderful form. People with it. And we feel Josh is also a good wing back. So just to single certain players out, Alan Campbell didn't come on. Alan Campbell dropped down from a Championship football club. So there's a lot of competition there in terms of stuff. We've got a lot of the Cambridge players that played at Cambridge chomping at the bit. So, I can make 11 changes, and then if we don't get a result, everyone goes, it's because you made 11 changes.
But that's exactly the point I was going to make to you a minute ago. Whenever a player's not in the team that's seen by supporters as the answer, and there's been people talking about Terry Taylor, that why is he not getting more game time? Again, you're someone that sees his players and works with them every single day. You know them inside out.
And Terry's very, very close. Terry's a lot closer than when I came here, he'd picked up an injury. There was other ones ahead of him. We we finished the season very well. We started the season very well. And suddenly in a week and a half now, we have to rip up the model. So, those are the decisions I get paid to do. Terry's close, he's training well, we've got an excellent environment, and we have to keep that. We have to bounce back, we have to get results, otherwise everything gets questioned. That's the end of the thing. I wasn't getting these questions. In fact, a week ago, I was getting questioned, am I going to a Championship football club? And now every single decision I make is getting scrutinised. So, okay, that's football, I suppose.
There we go. Said with a smirk on his face there about the being scrutinised after the week he's had. Whereas this time last week he was off to Cardiff, as you'll remember, Nathan. What have you made of his comments there on team selection? The likes of Thierry Small. I mean, someone put it in the chat earlier. I was trying to find. Chris thought he was throwing him under the bus, but I was saying, how many times did I say last season that he can get up and down, but he has no end product? There we go. Dempsey said it. Small has no end product. Young. Looks good, does try, but the boy can't cross. And that's, how many times did I say that last season when we were all getting carried away about him? But, the conversation on Terry Taylor as well. So, to be fair, I was expecting almost like a blanket. He's not really involved at the moment because he's not been close to it, but sounds like he's a bit closer. But I disagree with a lot of fans that he is the answer to all our problems. So some people seem to be really, really clinging on to Terry Taylor coming in and turning everything around, particularly set pieces. I out of curiosity earlier today, I searched for every time I tweeted Terry Taylor corner last season, and I found about 3 or 4 of me moaning about him overhitting them. So I don't think he's going to come in and be the answer straight away. I think he had problems with those last season as well. But yeah, what did you make of what he had to say there?
Do you know what? I actually quite enjoy it. I think it's refreshing. I really do. I think it's so true what he says about, last week. We were saying, everything's great. And then a week later, we're sort of telling him, everything's wrong and stuff. But like he said, that's football. Like, this is why everyone loves it so much. It's just full of opinions. In terms of Thierry Small, again, really, we all know what he's capable of, rather. But it always comes back to I can sit here and say, oh, Thierry's got to play. But I don't see Thierry. I ain't seen Thierry train all week. He could have turned up late 4 days. Could have not had the right. There's so many factors that none of us see that Nathan does that will probably play a factor in his decision. I'm not saying that's what Thierry's done, by the way. I get what he's saying. I mean, and like you said on Sunday, which was right. Like, whenever there's a player outside the team, they all of a sudden come flavour of the week. So, like, for example, we could drop TC for the next 5 games, not win 5, and everyone will be like, TC's got to come back in. But that's just the way of the world. Like, so I get what he's saying. I had no problem with what he said whatsoever. But yeah, it's just a case of, we all know where the problems are this season and where we think, as fans, and where we need to improve on in terms of that midfield trio. But of course, when you're not winning games, we're all going to be like, maybe we can try this. Like, like you said, that I said about Godden. I think, in fairness to Godden, he's played 2 games. He started 2 games, one against Rotherham, which was for an hour. The other, which was for an hour against Stevenage, he played in a 1 with TC and Daniel Kino beside him. That setup's wrong. Like, he needs a big man next to him. So, I mean, I was more sort of going down the road route because he sort of knows where the goal is. And I just think he's going to get you something rather than TC or Gas. But like you say, like, is it that, or is it the midfield? There's so many different factors. And I think that's what Nathan's got to do. But in terms of his press conference, I had no, he didn't seem spiky or anything. Just sort of said it as he is, and I sort of agree with him, really.
I didn't think he came across as spiky, but like I say, Gordon is a poacher, but if we ain't going to get the ball to him, that's all hell let loose. Says Louis, is Terry Taylor the new Sam Lavelle to me? No, absolutely. It's not anywhere near on that sort of level. If you're up for a cheap laugh as well, by the way, check out Carlisle highlights from Tuesday night. Both the first goal, absolute masterclass from one of our former defenders. If you're bored. James says Terry Taylor is the new Maradona. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the fear for me. Like I've said it already. Like people are getting carried away on Terry Taylor. Like worth a try. It might be, but I just think people think he's going to come in and set the world alight. Like we've done it with players over the years. Louis Watson was last year's one. Simon, we're joined by a Birmingham fan. Says looking forward to a good away day at the Valley. Just don't see Blues losing at present as we have so much of the ball. Normally at least 70%. Huddersfield got out of jail on Tuesday, losing just 1-0. That's we're probably going to have a few Birmingham fans coming full of confidence between now and the end of the show. I have nothing to say to that other than you're probably going to look quite good on Saturday. So what can we say? Let's have a look at a couple of emails came in. Chris with the very apt subject line said, "What utter rubbish." He said at 66 minutes, I said to my daughter, I'm going to try and be positive. 30 seconds later, it was 3-0. 3-2 was flattering. At least we scored twice. Nathan Jones has to figure out the problems with this team. There's no triangle passing options. If we continue with 3 at the back, the wing backs have to bomb forward. The hoofballs have to stop as they are doing nothing. I'm hoping that positive changes will be made, but we all know that hope is not a strategy. Yep, that's fair. Cabby sent me a message as well saying he thought Mitchell looked like he was carrying a knock by the end. Coventry is trying hard, but he's got no one around him. He says Berry was a waste of space. Anderson and Tyrese Campbell need to go back to the 21s. Ahad wins a lot of aerial challenges, but no one in or around him. But even on just to add, I thought he won a lot fewer than normal on Tuesday. It felt to me, or it might just be the frustration of watching the game. It says we will not score goals as we know no creativity or wingers. The 2 goals came from balls in or across the box. It's not rocket science. There was no tempo, no intensity. We can't even move the ball quick. I'd love to go into that dressing room and tell each player how, I have to tidy this up, how poor they are. Minus Mitchell Jones and Coventry, we have nothing. He says, sorry, rant over. He said he's been in Dubai on holiday and paid 30 quid to watch the games on on the stream over those 3 games. And I'd argue it's not worthwhile spending that money at the moment. Indeed, yeah, Lewis. How do we attack this form? Because they look really devoid of confidence at the moment. Like I say, I think the changes. I'm not saying the changes aren't necessary, because we need to find a winning formula, but we haven't found one yet, and that is, I think, causing a bit of a lack of confidence. But just going forward in that first hour on Tuesday was the most alarming thing for me, because that's a Bristol Rovers side who conceded a lot of goals, as we saw at the end of the game, but we just couldn't affect that game at all. Like I don't know what the answer is. I don't know what the answer is.
No, neither, mate. It's not ideal. I can't lie. It's just really tough to look. I mean, obviously our strengths are going to be. It should be defensive. That's where we've been. We need to try and channel that again. But we've just got to look to try and get the midfielders into games a bit more. Like try and get them on the ball and just less of this hoofball panic stuff. Because, I mean, we're talking about Birmingham Saturday and how the timing's wrong on playing them and stuff. But, at the start of the season, and I know it was a cup game and they didn't play a full strength side, neither did we. We didn't look miles apart. Like, it was a fairly open game. And at times we looked a lot better. Obviously now they've gone on a real positive trajectory and they're top of the league by 5 points, I think. And we're off the back of 3 straight defeats. So obviously things do change and they're going to be full of confidence on Saturday. But I mean, the only thing we can do is just try and harness the fact that it's at home and just and hope that our fans get behind the team and behind Nathan and try and push through. But I mean, there has to be changes to this system because it just doesn't look like working. Like, it's obviously very difficult as you say there, like you make the changes and then maybe that, he gets knocked if he makes the changes as well. But ultimately, I don't think it's just personnel, it's a system change. And I can't see him doing that against Birmingham after, how much time he's had to work. With a Bristol Rovers on a Tuesday night, probably would have had Wednesday off or something, potentially because of the travelling. You've not got long to turn around your preparations to play the league leaders. And I think for me, it's if anything, this weekend there'll be personnel changes. We've got to get back to that that first choice back five if we're going to keep with that system, which is getting Ramsey in and keeping it as it is. I thought Dan Potts did all right against Stevenage as well, but he obviously wasn't in the squad at all on Tuesday. Midfield for me, I think Doc has to come back in for Anderson, because whilst Karoy maybe brings something a bit more offensive, I think that in a game like Saturday's, you're going to need your leaders, and Nathan obviously sees Greg as a leader because he's made him club captain, but there's obviously a reason he's being kept out the side at the moment, but I just don't really know what it is. But the most important thing for me is like finding a front two that works, or some kind of system up top that's going to work and create something. Even if you try and put TC on a wing with a striker down the middle and then someone else out on the other side, but we haven't got that option, and that's my frustration. I think we've oversubscribed in the centre and midfield, and we don't have another option out wide where we can flex into a new system to try and create a little bit more.
Excellent. Right, I've had a proper huff there about Tuesday. It still wound me up. I'm just, like I say, just one of the rare occasions I wasn't there to go. So that's the only saving grace for me, is I didn't have to travel home overnight, which is what I normally would have done. But let's draw a line under that misery for now and focus on Saturday's misery after the break. We will start to look ahead to the Birmingham game.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders, such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the River. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live. This is the big match preview, and there's another big game to look ahead to on Saturday. At the moment, I guess in League One, they don't come much bigger than the league leaders, Alfie May's Birmingham City, come into the Valley on Saturday. They're on a pretty poor run of form. You may remember they dropped points on the opening day against Reading, which I'm sure still sings, but other than that, they've won every bloody game, of course. Let's find out a little bit more about them. Delighted to say that Brian from the Keep Right On pod is joining us now. Brian, good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, really well, Louis. Thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that you're really well, because as everything seems to be going swimmingly down there at St Andrews. I mean, you're hitting expectations, we'll put it that way, considering the money that's been spent this summer. But I mean, just talk us through a little bit the start to the season and how it has gone so well.
Yeah, I make no apologies for enjoying our time here. I've done my time with Birmingham City. And being a bottom feeder. It's been very good. As you mentioned, the only match they haven't won this season in the league was the first one, 1-1 draw against Reading, and Reading were very good. And in the last, I'd say the sort of first 4 or 5 games, Birmingham were kind of winning matches through moments of quality rather than, a superior game plan. But what's happened in the last 3 or 4 matches, particularly since they started playing the teams that you would think would be the ones challenging for promotion, they've actually kind of stepped it up a little bit. The machine is starting to tick over nicely. They've got a couple of really important midfield players in this. It's a 4-2-3-1, although Chris Davis says it isn't. And yeah, it's starting to operate, and they're scoring goals now through attacking patterns rather than just sort of isolated moments of flair.
Hi, Brian. I know you've probably been asked about the money side of things all season. You probably will for the rest of the year. But are you surprised, because the amount of players that come in and the amount of money spent? Are you surprised or unsurprised how quickly the team have seemed to gel?
I don't think I'm surprised, because when you spend let's say it's 14 million. Nobody can quite agree on the price tag. When you spend that sort of money on a striker, you expect to be scoring goals, don't you? You know, when you spend sort of €3 million on Christoph Klar at the back, and you've got a Poland international as his defensive partner, you expect to be winning games. So I'm not surprised. I do think they needed to make a good start, just to keep the sort of relieve the pressure a little bit, and manage the expectations, and just sort of keep on par, or you know, keep the game script manageable, sort of thing. I suppose what I have been very impressed with is the way that you guys all know Birmingham's reputation is not for many years has not been for dominating possession and playing neat football and playing out for the back. They've been very industrial, haven't they, or agricultural even in their approach for many years. I think what I have been surprised with is how smoothly they've made that transition. And you guys can come back to me and say, well, of course it's smooth. They spent bundles on loads of technical players, which they have, but that doesn't guarantee anything. And I suppose the sort of the feeling amongst supporters at the moment is everyone was telling them that they were going to be in for a shock in League One, and you know that shock hasn't happened. And I think Chris Davis and his coaching staff and the players, to be fair, have done really well to make sure they haven't been shocked yet. I mean, we'll probably come on to the tests at await, when the pitches maybe clog up a little bit in November, and League One becomes very League One. That might be a different story, but at the moment, it is looking like it's been a well executed plan so far.
Brian, we'll have to make sure we put the sprinklers on Saturday then, see if we can get the pitch to proper League One standard. What I was going to say, Chris Davies, obviously first managerial job for him. I was quite surprised when he was appointed, given what was going on at Birmingham in the summer, the acquisitions you guys are making, the need, not the need, but the desire to bounce straight back to the Championship. How has he got on so far? What do fans make of Chris Davies? What was the initial reaction to his appointment, and how do you feel he's getting on now?
I think there was a little bit of bemusement, and a lot of people, and myself to an extent, saying first time manager in League One. It's a little bit of a risk when the model is that this is only a 1 year stay in League One, and you guys can quite happily say, well, everyone's only supposed to stay in League One when they go down from the Championship for one season, aren't they? But the way the owners have invested, it's very much a straight back up at the first time of asking. So to entrust a first time manager with that, I felt was a big responsibility. But it feels like everything's rainbows and daisies at Birmingham at the moment. I've got to say there've been no red flags as regards Chris Davis. He's been very good with the media. He's opened the doors to an extent to let journalists in to watch them train and watch him coach, and he's been very, very good. He's very clear. I remember one of the open training sessions, he came over with a clipboard and taught the journalists through the 2 or 3 exercises that they were going to do, and how those exercises fitted into what they were trying to achieve as a team, and that was really impressive. He communicates well. He's very volatile on the touchline, which I'm quite surprised at. He's already got himself a touchline ban. He's been really impressive, and you can see why he was sort of touted as one of the next big things in coaching circles. Listen, everyone's after the next Kieran McKenna. I'm not saying that Blues have got that, but the start has been good.
Yeah, it has been. Just finally then, I think the obvious question for most fans outside of Charlton when it comes to strikers is, the amount of money you spent on Stansfield. But you spent a fair bit less on a striker from us. I mean, were you surprised that Charlton were willing to let Alfie May go at any price, really? And what have you made of him since he's come in? I mean, he was great for us. He was big for us, and we have missed him. No matter, we can't dress it up any other way. But were you surprised you were able to get him, and what have you made of him so far?
I don't know if I'm equipped to say I was surprised whether Charlton let him go or not, because I'm not sure your guys' sort of financial situation. I mean, he was he admitted himself he was basically up the road to Huddersfield, didn't he? And then Blues came in and showed their wallet. And for all the talk of Alfie May wanting to be part of the project, I'm sure the wallet was quite enticing too. He's been good. He started off starting every game. He was very much the number 9 and the one responsible for scoring the goals, and he did that. He scored in his first 4 games. Then suddenly Stansfield turns up, and then Lyndon Dykes turns up, and he's not started the previous game on Tuesday against Huddersfield, but he'd been on the bench for 2 games before that, and it was kind of wow. If this really is quite a flash, if you can take the league's leading scorer for 2 or 3 years and stick him on the bench, you really have got some strength in depth. He's been playing well. There's no doubting that Jay Stansfield is the undisputed first choice number 9. So Alfie's had to play wide a little bit, or play off. And I don't necessarily. That's not how he's earned his crust in the last 2 or 3 seasons. Is that he's been very much the main man responsible for getting goals. And I would say the playing relationship between him and Stansfield is a work in progress. Stansfield probably has looked a little bit more comfortable with Lyndon Dykes, more of a natural fit. You get the impression that Alfie wants to occupy some of the spaces that Jay Stansfield does. And I did wonder about the dynamic. Alfie's gone from being the main man to potentially on the bench or third choice striker. But they dovetailed really well in the win over Huddersfield on Tuesday night. And the on-pitch chemistry, when Stansfield set up Alfie May to score the goal, May went straight to Stansfield, and the sort of the chemistry between them, personal chemistry between them, seemed really good. Alfie May spoke to the press after that, and it's very fair to say he's looking forward to coming back to the Valley.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think he'll have a point to prove, not to Charlton fans, but to the manager who let him go. I think that's what I'm getting at. Yeah,
he very much made that distinction. He said he's really looking forward to seeing the fans. But I do think he has some fairly strong feelings about the manager. Yeah, I do.
I look forward to reading those quotes. I've been told that I don't know if they're out yet, but I've been told about them, so I look forward to seeing them. Right, Brian, thanks for your time. That was really fascinating. You go and enjoy winning League One, and we'll crack on here with what we've got to do. Cheers,
yeah, and
Brian.
I'm not going to say sorry. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers. There we go. That's Brian from the Keep Right On pod. Good to hear from Brian again. He must have been on a few years ago as well, actually, when we were in the Championship. Good to hear from Brian. Let's hear from Nathan Jones then ahead of Saturday. Starts off with the team news. Obviously, Gasser Hadmay came off injured on Tuesday evening, so it gives us an update on the fitness of the squad first.
It was the injury to Gassan, who looked in a lot of pain as he went off. How is he? Do you know what the injury is?
Well, we just assessing it. He took a blow. He took a blow to the chest, which caused him to just have some breathing problems and stuff. So what we've done is just took him off immediately and going through all the protocols, and he's talking about us having a tough couple of weeks. He's had a tough couple of weeks, So that's a frustrating thing, but look, we've just got to make sure he's right.
The one positive was the sight of Miles Liban coming back into the first team action. Had you always planned to give him sort of half an hour, or did the circumstances dictate the reason you put him on?
No, he was. Well, look, if he's on the bench, I would have liked him a bit earlier, but we listened to medical advice, and we made sure that he had the correct number of minutes in the development squad before we put him in. But we don't bring him on, at any risk or anything. We brought him on because the situation determined, and yeah. So look, he'll get better, game in, game out. So he's back in contention.
On a general note, after what's happened in the last few games, do you think, as fans, expecting a little bit too much at the moment? We're half a new squad of players out there. We're only 9 games into a 46-game season. We're just 4 points off second place. So in the division, are we maybe being a little bit impatient as fans, potentially?
I don't know what fans are thinking, but what we've done, we had a job to do last year, which we did, and then probably set certain standards, and we want to keep to those. Now, we started the season very well. We're winning 3 on the bounce, and effectively, I think it was sort of 5 of our first 6 games with then the league game and the cup game. So yeah, I'd imagine fans get very excited about stuff, but we've got to remember where we've come from as well. We were 19th when I came in. We have added new squad. We do expect better performances than we put in the last 3 games for whatever reason. But we're not in a bad place. We're not in a disastrous place. We've had a tough week, and it's only just been over a week. That's what people think. It's been 3 games, but there's been 2 in 3 days, sort of thing. So we weren't, doing cartwheels when we beat Shrewsbury and Cambridge and thinking we are the best team around. We don't. So it's just about keeping an equilibrium. It's a long season. Yeah, we can have some tough times. I don't want to lose 3 games. That doesn't happen to me very often. But it's happened, and now we've got to react and make sure that we get back on track.
And talk about react and bouncing back. If we do, it'll have to be against the league leaders, probably one of the best sides in the division, certainly at the moment. And so Chris Davison's Birmingham side will be a little different to the one we faced in the Carabao Cup, as we will be as well. So I dare say you can't take a lot from that going into the game.
Well, structurally they'll be similar, I would imagine. They're a wonderful side. They are the best side in the division because they're top at this point in time. So they're proving at this point in time they're the best side in the division. And it'll be a tough game. But as you've seen, they're all tough games. We go away to Stevenage, and Stevenage is a place where I've never won. I've literally never won there as a manager. And, with, again, massive respect, always finished above Stevenage. But I've had difficult times when I've gone there. And these games against Birmingham are different from the Stevenage games, but equally as tough.
Birmingham will sell out their end. I'm sure the Valley will be packed on Saturday, so it'll be a decent atmosphere going into the game, and a great atmosphere. Is it after the 3 defeats, more about the performance than the result itself?
Well, if you ask me now, would I take 3 points and a poor performance over a brilliant performance and a defeat? Then I wouldn't. I would take the points because that's a real necessity now. But it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be. We gave them a wonderful game again in the cup. We should have scored more than we did because we missed a penalty, missed a few chances. We had 10 men. They had 10 men late on, and we didn't capitalise on that. So there was disappointments from ours. But look, it's the toughest test in the division at this point in time. So we'll be up for it.
There you go. That's Nathan Jones looking ahead to the clash with Birmingham on Saturday. The team news is in there. So Gas came off injured. This is when I realised how much of Tuesday's game I missed because I was putting my daughter to bed at half time, and then I heard the second goal, and I thought that was about 3 minutes into the second half. When I looked today, I realised it's nearly 15 minutes into it. I was in absolutely no rush to get back downstairs and watch the second half, so I missed Gas going off, Nathan. But if he's not there, we may have our armed force there in terms of how we want to start on Saturday up top. But if he's not there, or if he is there, who is the front 2 then that's going to put this right for us on Saturday?
I'd go with Chooks. Do you know what?
You can't start Chooks and Nico.
I just think you have to. You can't start Miles. It's too soon for me. But I just think, who else? Godden and Campbell.
Yeah, but every game is too soon for Chucks. We know we have to protect him. We just ask him to stop because if he gets, then we'll have no option when he gets injured. That's just yeah.
Yeah, I think you go Godden and Campbell. Right. Well, we said this against Stevenage, didn't we? We had Campbell, Godden, and Carnu. He's like, right, prime example to play out on the deck, and we didn't. And it's like, well, saying that, first half we did against Stevenage, but literally in our own half. Yeah. So, to be fair, but I just think, if Gas isn't fit, that's the only I think it's the only, unless you change shape. But I can't see him doing it. I really can't see him changing the shape. So I think it's like, right, okay, you can't. And Godden, for me, Godden has to have someone next to him. You can't play Godden playing Godden up front on his own is like when we used to scream at Appleton and playing Alfie through the middle on his own. It's exactly the same for me. So even though I know I'd rather Chucks come off the bench, if Gas is unfit, Miles is coming back, it's like, well, in my opinion, I'd rather risk Chucks than Miles because Miles has come out from a year out. But It's like, well, unless we shove something different. I mean, sod it. Why don't we just shove Jones up top then? Shove Jones up top, shove Macca up top, best technician that we have, and then might win a game.
Yeah,
but
I saw someone seriously on the forum the other day say we should play a front three, and that included Thierry Small. I mean, this could come to it. We're struggling to work out what's going to work for us, and I stand by, to be fair, what I said earlier about even if we start with Godden, I don't think just changing the striker is going to be the silver bullet to fix this, because, like I say, we have to create those chances, and that's. I'm coming back to it. I'm really concerned because we haven't found the right mix at all, and we've tried a lot of different things, Lewis. So I mean, I'm going to put you on the spot here and ask you what you think the right mix is, but I ain't going to judge you if you ain't got the right answer, if you don't have an answer.
Maybe we stick Terry Taylor up front.
He's due a goal, isn't he? He's due a game and a goal, yeah.
He's due a game
straight
and a goal,
from a corner, curl it in, because he's the set-piece king.
Oh, mate, do you know what? It's going to be so difficult. I don't know. I mean, the change in shape for me is the obvious thing, but as Nathan said, I don't think we're going to do that with the turnaround we've had from Bristol Rovers to the weekend. So if you're sticking with that same system, then you are struggling for options up top. I suppose if Gas isn't fit enough to be named in the squad, then you'd expect Kanu to be put back into the 18. So whether you'd play Kanu and Godden together, but then you didn't see enough from Kanu at Stevenage, but you're not going to get a start out of Chirks or Miles, are you? Which is the most annoying thing. I mean, I feel like Doherty's got to come back into midfield. I haven't seen enough from Karoy, really. And I think it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of defensive work that needs to be done. I think Doc brings a bit more on that side than Karoy does. But in terms of system, I can't see us changing it. I'd like to see Kane come back in for Watson, which I imagine will happen naturally. And I can't see Edwards coming out of it. The back three I'll probably leave as they are. And then for me, I think you just put Doc in, and then you just pick in who you're going to put up top with Matty Godden. So I think if we were going for a bit more physicality, I'd probably go for Kanu and Godden, and then have TC on the bench with Lee Byrne and Anike. But I agree with Nathan. If you could do it, you'd start Chucks all day long, because he is the natural. He's physical, holds the ball up well. But I can't. It's not going to happen, is it? In the moment you do that, he gets injured, and then we're really up the creek without a paddle. So I think the system's going to stay the same. The most important thing is what we do in the middle and how we try and keep hold of the ball a bit more. I don't think Doherty's been overly convincing, but I do think he brings more defensively than Karoy does, and defending on Saturday is going to be critical.
Sorry, go on there.
Just to finish on that, I just think also with, like Lou said, if we look at Birmingham, if you've watched them play, their movement is unbelievable. We're not going to pass Birmingham off the pitch. So I think we're going to see more of a solid three and try and catch them on the break. I think that's going to be our only chance. We're not going to dominate the game. Do you know what I mean? So I think we're probably going to see a lot of the same, in my opinion.
Well, we'll see. I've been enjoying the chat. People have just been suggesting old strikers that could play. James saying Sean Bartlett's there on Saturday for that Q&A, and he could do a job. Get fishing as well. We've played like a fish out of water at times last couple of weeks. Mark wants to see Garth Crooks make a comeback. Well, he's not doing those BBC predictions now, isn't he? So Stuart Court with an old one-stick Phil Chappell up front again, like the old days when times were hard and we needed to chuck someone. I mean, there is a genuine comment here from John, the Birmingham fan, saying the only way to play against us is to have mobility up top, close down from them playing out from the back. It's pointless playing a couple of big guys. It will allow us to bring the ball out at will. I'm really down about things at the moment, and I think it's more so because I built it up so much. I really bought into that. I think I thought we had something to build upon there, and it's just gone wrong since then. So maybe Saturday will be the time to turn it round. I really need something. I really need to see something. But like I say, this game couldn't have come at a worse time for us. Just bring to your attention as well, Sunday, the women's team who have won all their league games so far are at home to Sunderland. That's a 2 p.m. kickoff at the Valley on Sunday. If you want to go and see some winning football, there's a chance to do some of that there. But we have run out of time on this week's big match preview. Look, let's draw a line under what's happened. We can win this game. just need a couple of things to fall our way. Who knows? Massive thanks to everyone who's listened live on this week's big match preview. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss another show, or wherever you get your pods. Thanks to Brian who joined us from Keep Right On Pod earlier on. Nathan and Lewis, a pleasure as always to speak to the pair of you.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, gentlemen and ladies, and everyone watching.
Lovely stuff. Right, I'm Louis Mendes. This has been Charlton Live's big match preview, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. We'll be back on Sunday morning to look back at whatever happens against Birmingham City. We will see you then.